worked. All right.
Go back to that. I was like rocking out to the music.
I love the intro music. It's very awesome. I don't see that I'm live.
I see on air and live.
Yeah, it says there, but I'll refresh
I,
this
I
page.
see live over in the left-hand side, but you probably see more than I do.
Oh, now I'm live. Excellent. Okay, we just had to refresh the page. We verified that we're good to go. I have with me K.W. Bussard, who is a dark fantasy author, elbows deep in building a vast, interconnected world filled with mystery, cosmic horror, and human struggle, lore and the meaning behind actions have always been the heart of who you are. That's, I guess, your bio. You have two bios. You gave me a shorter bio.
I sent you a short bio, and then I sent you one that I sent you a longer one that I had sent to like stand for like an author of the month thing.
Yeah, that's funny. I see the short one too, because I was reading that. I was like, this is not what I read earlier. This is why we do it live, so that we can capture these moments forever. So I'm going to try again. And I'm just going to say that you are a lifelong fan of fantasy novels, whether it's immersive storytelling, the rich worlds of tabletop live action or computer role-playing games, and the lore and struggles of characters are an essential part. The lore and struggle of characters are an essential part. Kevin channels his love of these immersive realms for decades into crafting tales, blending epic adventures with relatable human struggles. He resides in Texas with his wife, son, daughter, and 2 grandchildren. Every day he's drawing inspiration from gaming, reading, and dreaming about what lore lies beyond the next quest. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to you, Kevin, because we're here to talk about your book, The Eldritch Knight, and I'd love to give you a chance to go ahead and pitch that to everybody, because it is out today and we want to sell some books.
Definitely. So hello everybody, my name's Kevin Bussard. I go by KW Bussard. Been in the kind of community for the last year or so. I think I hit about a year this last December on X. Before that, really didn't have a whole lot of social media presence as far as pseudonym or pen name. But I had been working on the Eldritch Knight for probably about 2 years at this point. A year ago. So let's go with you want to pitch. I don't know. How do you want me to do this? Like, I've got so many different posts that I've done pitches on.
I mean, do what you need to do. We're trying to shoot for, I'm going to ideally clip it, and then we'll take this and put it as a short on the YouTube channel and on Instagram, available for folks to kind of get a short introduction to what this is. So it's your chance to try and make a sales pitch about what this story is.
Are you a fan of Dungeons and Dragons 2.5 to 5 edition, Baldur's Gate, or Neverwinter Nights? It's time to roll initiative and embark on a dark epic fantasy that's steeped in old school D&D inspired lore. The Eldritch Knight begins the Ashen Throne saga. Stage for a new campaign set with Zahar. I hate pronouncing this name, but it was so on point. Jaradim and Eamon the Wise start the story with an epic battle. And then we fast forward to 300 years later. And that's where the story picks up. I don't really want to go more than that, because then it's like spoilers.
Yeah, that's fine. I love that. That was a very well put together introduction. So we have our epic D&D inspired fantasy story. it sounds like book one of potentially many to come.
5.
5. Excellent.
So this was original. Actually, I'll warn everybody that's watching this. So the Eldritch Knight originally was supposed to be more than what actually is getting published today. This is one half of the original, like book one story. It's just I had to split it because I was already at like 450 pages.
Turning into a beast.
Yeah, nobody would have given me a chance if I like just came out the gates running with like a 900 plus page, brick the size of something that might rival,
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. My first 2 stories are actually like it's the same timeline. They're 2 different characters, and it is a harder pitch to sell a book that's like 600 pages
Yeah.
than the smaller versions of that.
There's 2 main characters in the Eldritch Knight that you're gonna get introduced to early on. I want to say, first 5 chapters or so, you're gonna get introduced to both the main characters. You start with the male main character, that's Kalen. He is the prodigal son. He's the one that gets marked at birth. In the prologue, which I've had out forever, so I'm not gonna, there's no spoilers at this point. Kalen is the one that's born under all this the huge like storm at night that his mom dies. Or in peace decided against it. Yeah. And then our female main character, we meet a couple chapters in, and she's like 13. Whenever that she's a trooper, that one. So
Awesome. So I love to, as part of these, I love to get to know more about the process to create this story. So you've mentioned that you're thinking it's 5 books. So that tells me that you've at least probably plotted out how this is going to go.
I've seriously plotted a lot for the story. The novella that I have out before this actually came about from plotting book 4.
Okay.
I came up with the concept for the Athenaeum, and I was like, "Oh, I got to take this and run with it." I could easily belt out a prequel kind of story for it. And the first glimpse was born.
A primer, it's a primer.
Well, if you haven't, I don't want to spoil it for people. I guess it's about Corin, who's a dwarf cartographer. If you don't, cartographer is a map maker.
Yep.
And the map in question is the map of Dunmo, that's the kingdom that we're in within the Eldritch Knight. So it's all tied together.
Excellent. Okay, so I'd love to take you back in time to when this idea stirred. You mentioned that a year ago, you'd been working on this for 2 years, kind of a thing. So we got some basis of a timeline, but when did you genesis this idea of I want to write a fantasy series?
Well, so young Kevin was deployed to Iraq back in 2006, and I was playing on my computer or my laptop. I had just gotten a copy of Neverwinter Nights 2 overseas. And I got off of work and I was playing the campaign, and I got this idea for originally it was called the Eldritch, and story was the same. So I literally typed up about 2 pages worth of concept back then, and then emailed it to a group of friends. And well, I don't know, at some point during that whole deployment, I lost that email account. It was an old Hotmail. And then fast forward 17 years, 2021. I was going to school for my cybersecurity degree, and I was in English comp, and I was talking with my teacher about it. like I did this. I have a couple concepts. I used to do fan fiction back in the day, whatnot. I played games and wrote up stuff. I got this story that I really like. Need to find it. Well, I found it. I showed it to her, and she's like, "You need to finish this. It's got some good structures, some good bones. I'd like to see where you would take it." I was like, "All right, boom, challenge accepted." And I'm like 43 now, so back then I was probably 24, 25. I probably wouldn't have written the same story back then as I would have now. Um, but the idea was that I wanted to create a world that was steeped in D&D, but not like there's a lot of similar aspects when you're reading it. You're gonna see you're gonna kind of, oh, oh, she's a rogue, or oh, he's an alchemist, or stuff like that. You're gonna see the similarities. A lot of my magic system is based kind of loosely with the actual D&D like spells structure and the monster manuals and stuff. But what I did was I took a twist. I don't know how well versed are you in D&D?
So my husband plays Pathfinder, so I'm familiar enough for the sake of that.
Do you remember the spell plague from like third edition?
I do not.
Okay. So back in third edition, there was an event called the spell plague, and the spell plague was the goddess of magic
Okay.
dies, and it throws, or she actually, I think she gets assassinated. Uh, and it throws the whole world into whack. Like the whole magic system just goes crazy. And there's a spell plague that's released upon the world. Magic just doesn't work right. People that use magic, it drives them crazy. Some that are scarred, and it throws them into insanity. So I wanted to take that and create a alternate reality to this with an Eldritch spin. So I wanted to take like some H.P. Lovecraft, and instead of the spell plague, I'm using a cosmic entity ripping the veil open and causing that structure to cause the rift in magic. So there's still cracks in the veil into the nether that this void energy can seep through. It's gonna, later on in some of the creatures affected by that. But essentially, it's the negative energy of void magic, chaos magic, and stuff seeping through the veil of cosmic realms where our antagonists are hailing from. That's going to cause a lot of this. So it's cool. Our big baddie in the prologue is Zaradim. He is an Eldritch Lich, which, if for those that kind of know a little bit about the monster, 5th edition came out with an Eldritch Lich that is essentially a Lich that is given immortality by a cosmic god, like Cthulhu. He's embedded with a parasite that grants him a lot of. It's nightmare fuel. It really is. Like, if you've seen the pictures and you've ever tried to play against one, it's nightmare fuel. So that's our big baddie that you get to meet right in the prologue. And shortly afterwards, 300 years later, he comes back and he's pulling the strings from the back. So he's not our initial antagonist, but he has his fingers in the pudding. Say.
Excellent. Okay, so you got the idea for this concept back when you're deployed, you're a young man, and it disappeared off your radar for good number of years here. Long time before you picked it up again from a creative writing class, kind of having an inspiration to you. Now I'm curious as far as, okay, so you dug it back up. You had some encouragement along the lines of that creative writing professor just kind of saying, "Hey, you got something here, and you should flesh that out." What was the process from there? So you had the 2-page concept, I think you said.
So I took
I
the two page
imagine.
I took the two
Yeah.
page concept and I kind of started to take. I mean, at this point, I had like some pretty well. This is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. So the bare bones for a decent plot was
Mhm.
already kind of laid out with the concept. So then I took that and I just kind of opened the timeline up and sparsed it out, and I started kind of penciling in little bits here, little bits there, and it just, I mean, it took me about a year to come up with the original, like this is the first draft right here.
Mhm.
And that's going to be book 1 and 2. This reads so dry. It's uh there's no chapters. It kind of goes from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene, and like some scenes are like this big and some scenes are like multi-page. So it
Got it.
was like it wasn't it was the story, but it was about as bare bones as you could get. So what I did was I took this and then I kind of opened it up a little bit more. And then that's when at this point I was kind of doing it by myself.
Mhm.
Um, and joined I found X. I found the Twitter community. Fatia was created shortly afterwards. And I started reaching out to, like beta readers. And I mean, I
Mhm.
was I was spending money on Fiverr for beta readers, trying to get feedback. I mean, I didn't have anybody that was willing to read a story that I wrote and give me their input. So I reached out. I did the early newbie mistakes. I was paying for it. Readers on Fiverr that charged you by the 1,000 words or something like that. I mean, hell, I might as well just send it to an editor.
Yeah.
Uh, but I eventually found a couple that was really good, and early on in my rewriting, I started to rewrite a lot of the early chapters, and then I took a character that was a female main character. Actually, we didn't meet her originally until the second act,
Mhm.
um, but she was a major part of the rest of the story. So I felt that like she really needed some early chapters too to kind of let's show her backstory a little bit. So she was created. There was always a birth scene for Kaylin. Mom die. The queen dies. The dad so distraught, and then he ends up being corrupted by the shadows, and we that was already there. It was always going to be there. It was just that journey later on that I had to rewrite into a compelling story, and I took at that point, like I took a lot of time watching Brandon Sanderson's videos for his course, creative writing course. I've watched like all of those. I've watched. I mean, there was a lot of videos that's just on YouTube that you can go in and find. And I don't know. Just my own adventure of like getting into stories. What I liked about this the what I liked about Ari Salvatore and how he did a lot of his action. H.P. Lovecraft with that ominous, void stuff. I tried not to get too flowery, but there's always going to be a poetic nature to my writing too, because I've always been a poet. So when you start getting into like lyrical proses and stuff, it's going to be there for me. When you go into a scene, you're going to try to. I want you to smell. I want you to feel. I want you to see. I want you to taste or hear something. I want you to be about as immersed in the story as I was when it was in my head as I was writing. So that was, kind of I don't know the process of getting those on paper. Um,
Yeah.
it takes me a lot. Sometimes I have, migraines. I've had a couple TBIs since when I was in the service, and a lot of times I sometimes I have to take a break away from writing, a couple days, maybe a week or so, then get back to it. Kind of it refreshes the eyes. That way, you're not staring at the manuscript like all the time. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, you're writing stuff that kind of it could be bland, but you're just not seeing it because it's that writer's blind or whatever I like to call it. When you take about a week back and then you go back and look at it, and you're going, oh, well, okay, hmm. As long as you left yourself notes of what you were trying to go for, you kind of have an idea. It's it flows better, but you come back. When you take the breaks like that, you come back with fresher eyes, and you can kind of say, I was trying to go for this, and then there was some sparks. There's a couple scenes that's like really over the top cinematic, and those were the ones that I really like. I just kind of said, "Hey, like something clicked," and I had to get it down on paper. I was like, "That is amazing!" Like there's a opening cinematic for chapter 3 and the prologue. I think were really good. We're like that. There's a couple scenes that it clicks.
Awesome. So I'm hearing you had, if I'm following the timeline, you essentially started drafting this, uh, your book after that, and you have a version of it that, you know, a draft version, if you will. And you, like many of us, were stumbling through trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this better? How do I refine this? How do I get feedback from people? And I love that you kind of point out, it's like, okay, I maybe made some mistakes where I was hiring people to read it because I couldn't find the right people. And I'm trying to, I think that's a struggle for a lot of us, is how do we find the support systems in a lot of ways that can help give us the feedback, that early information on how our work is hitting or resonating. So I think that's interesting. And it's interesting that you kind of got into this around the time of like the Fellowship of the Indie Author starting up, and maybe having some of that, advantage of the community there. Um, so you mentioned that you took your original idea or your book and you had to split it. You have 5 of these. So you did you before you drafted, did you have the whole plot for those full 5 books, or did you start with the first arc of that and then now you've worked beyond that? Or I'm curious to how you mapped out that particular thing.
So the original concept was just what's going to be book 1 and 2.
Okay.
This copy right here is the original concept, about 416 pages. Double spaced. I mean, I was expecting to go through this thing with a red pen. So when I just wanted to, I wrote it up. I already had it written. I was like, I want to see it in print. So like
Yeah.
I spent the money. It still has the not for, I don't know if you can see the not for
Not
resale
for resale, yeah.
on it. It never saw the light of day other than that copy right there. I tried to send it out to some of my friends and whatnot, and they were just like, I never got it. It was crickets, crickets. Like you
Yeah.
send it out to your friends, you send it out to your family. I've got a sister that's got a PhD, or that's going for her PhD in creative editorial at TCU, Texas Christian University. And it isn't until recently, when I actually published my novella, that she started to show any kind of interest in supporting me, or
That's
even
interesting.
trying to have a thing. So like I've got people there, but nobody was wanting to come back and talk to me. I was shelling out hundreds of dollars in Fiverr for people that could beta read, but they had the older stories versions. When Fatia came out, I had there's a couple people that helped me out. Sebastian was one. Russell Carroll, he helped me with some of the early chapters. Pacing wise, I mean, there's whole chapters that I just rewrote. I just grabbed it, tossed it, and rewrote it because of input. Molly McCobb, she read a lot of some of the stuff and gave me some feedback on some of the more horror aspects of the stories in the early chapters. And yeah, I mean, you we get so worried about like feedback, and we need feedback. We have to have it. Like otherwise, it's just going to be like, well, you know, I put pen to paper and it's a story.
Yeah.
Bad story. But so like the original concept was going back to what your question was. The original concept was book one and what's going to be book two now. Once I got that done, I was like, man, the story can't really end here because I've got like this idea, this awesome idea for an epilogue, and then like it kind of bleeds into the book three, and then I started writing that plot out, and I was like, oh, it's got to do this, and then this is gonna be the end of book three, and book four is I'm gonna start on this, and I started doing the and I have a whole flashback for this scene, and I just kept going. I kept going.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, giant stink bug flying in front of my face. That's great.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's interesting. So essentially, it was like, okay, here's the initial concept, but I'm not done yet with the story, and then you kind of started to plot out the rest of that. Have you started drafting any of the follow-ons since you've got this one out now?
So I'm about 60,000 words or so, give or take, into book two. And then I started to kind of work on I've got like the prologue for book 3 kind of done. And I've started like doing some of the beefier bones. Like the not the full scenes, but I started trying to, like fill out a little bit more of the scene idea for book 3.
Yeah.
More so than just I want this, then this, then this, then this, then this,
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a process. I get a lot of time at work sometimes to work to do this, to write. So I kind of it's really good for me to be in IT. Sometimes it's really slow at work, so I get a chance to write or do research or whatever. I just can't. There's some things I can't do, like get on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I spend a lot of time talking with other authors. And you're welcome, KP. Those Twitter circles stuff. That's my cybersecurity side of my yeah. But you do the research, you have an idea, and then you got to like deep dive into it. I was talking with Brian Holshauser the other night, and he was reading some of the early chapters. He told me like there was part of it that he was really impressed about. There's sections in the book that kind of really deep dive into herbalism. And as you read it, everything that I'd say in that is actually true. So if you wanted to look it up and say, "Oh, I didn't know that you could use feverfew for that," yeah, it's a dandelion. There's a lot of stuff that you could do with it, or how it's cultivated, or how you harvest it, and stuff like that. So I mean, I did a lot of research on a lot of the subject, the stuff that you read in the book. Yeah.
I love that. I love that because I do the same kind of thing. I had to figure out how to make a primitive fishing spear. Like, what would be the steps? I'm like watching a YouTube video where he's making stuff like that, and yeah,
like
that.
How would another research, like how would a 13-year-old girl react to having to stab somebody that's trying to? come at her
Yeah.
out in the wild that just is essentially has nothing left to live for, you know. And that's our female main character that you're gonna meet. Um, how would she react? How like during, afterwards? Um, nothing happens. There's no essay or anything like that. But you know, if a 13-year-old girl has to take a life, how's she going
It's
to react
gonna,
afterwards?
yeah, it'd be impactful for sure.
So there's a lot of emotional, turmoil, PTSD stuff that I've dealt with over the years, and all the emotional impact that you're going to read in the story. And if you've read the novella, then you kind of understand kind of where my mindset usually kind of comes from. It's all internal. Worst enemy is going to be yourself. Uh, you know, well, with the Eldritch Knight, there's a little bit more external enemy forces at play. So hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we have an epic that we're putting together. We've gotten the first book out now. What was the publishing experience for you as far as okay? So finally got that feedback. We were able to do some rewrites, get some work on there. What when did you know that you had a publishable work that you were ready to put out into the world? And then what did that process look like for you after that?
So I had an almost ready copy of it done probably about as early as the time the novella came out.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, do I want to put the first glimpse out now, or do I want to wait until I have the big novel out? And I kept reading it and over it, and I was like, man, just something's still kind of off a little bit. So I've polished up the novella a little bit more until I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's only 20,000 words, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
too bad. Um, and I got that out. I had hiccups, tried to do the pre-order thing. I was still learning, uh, ended up releasing it almost a month early. Uh,
Oops.
yeah, oops. Um, I'd send it out to all my arcs and I was like, hey, here you go. You got a month to read it. Have fun. And then like I'm sitting there playing around on KDP and published, and I'm like, oh
Didn't
man,
mean to do that.
oopsies. So and then lesson learned for the novel too. But anyway, so I had an almost ready copy, like almost ready versions, but there was still some stuff that was kind of off. And reading through it, I had sent it to a couple. Who, I want to say there was like three people that I had reached out to, and they came back and they said, take another look at these couple chapters. You might want to polish it up a little bit more. So I was like, okay. I did that. Didn't take very long. I mean, it wasn't much. It was just like when you get something to that almost hazy fog, and all it takes is a microfiber towel to polish it up a little bit more, and you get that nice shine. That's really kind of what it was. There might still be some spots in there, but I at some point I got to say enough is enough.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm going to be
you'll
sitting there.
polish forever.
I'm going to be sitting there continually trying to polish, those chapters forever, and it's never going to get put out. So I got to a point where I'm like, okay, and I was actually going to keep writing the rest of the book, which would have been the 900 pages. And Russell was like, dude, just cut it, like split it, stop it right here. And if you can make an ending for it, um, go with that. Have two books. And I was like, all
Yeah.
right. So let me go back and look at this. I had to rearrange some chapters, kind of make the timeline fit a little bit more. Ended on a pretty high stakes moment, and some resolution afterwards. To kind of get some closure. Um, just know that some of the moments at the end was originally like further in the before that, but it worked out. I like the way it turned out. After I'd made the split and kind of did some reorganizing on the chapters, I think the story is a little bit it flows a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, there is a lot of time jumps because I mean, essentially, you're starting with a child that's being born in
Yeah.
chapter one, well, in the prologue, and by chapter uh, 11, he's 20 years old. But you're getting chapters as he's growing up, so you're getting like the next you meet him when he's a newborn, and then next chapter you're seeing him he's 6 years old. The next chapter you're seeing him he's 11 years old. Like major points in a kid's life.
Yeah.
Um, there's a chapter where he's 15. He's got that teenage angst, you know, wants to prove himself. Uh, and then you've got Lysandra. That's our female protagonist. We meet her when she's 13. 13 is a very important year for girl psyches. Um, and then we follow her over the next 3 years um, till she's like 16, and she makes the vow of I'm this is what I'm gonna do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I knew there was a lot of girls that I knew that I mean they made that vow like I'm going to do this and this is going to be it. At 16 years old, still doing it at 30, still doing it at 40. So it's like okay, all right, that's an important decision making year for girls. Um, I really tried. I know they say that guys, it's really tough for male authors to write female protagonists. So I don't know, girls, ladies out there, let me know if I did a good job. I really enjoyed writing Lysandra's arc, um, and I think I mean I put her through the ringer, but she's a strong gal. She's got some spunk and stuff to her. So
Awesome.
anyway,
All right. So tell me about how your cover is beautiful.
thank
So
you.
tell me about getting that put together.
So I went through. I was originally going to do like a blank cover with like a sigil artwork, which is kind of what's on the back.
Mhm.
And I don't know if do you have a copy of that on the.
I don't have the back. I have your front cover. Oh. Okay,
Anyway, so
there's the full cover.
I went through a couple artists on Fiverr, got put out for a couple $100 each time, and it was just total garbage. I got put in the ringer for like AI cut AI artwork. Actually, no, that's not the right. The I don't know if you can
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep.
see that sigil right there. That's on the back cover. That's on the back cover now.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up with. But there was about 4 different versions of that prior. Each one cost me anywhere from $100 to like $200. And it's just getting scammed over on Fiverr. So like when I go through and I say, hey, I know I recognize the signs of scammers and stuff like that because I've made the mistakes and I've been through the ring. I was going to start with just the sigil, and that was going to be the sigil that that's supposed to be the birthmark of that Kaylin's born with,
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. But it kind of grew. I was like, let's do the storm, of the shadowy like the thing, and the guy in the front It's kind of a generic uh, opening, but he kind of has. I wanted it to be like no one in particular, but kind of maybe one of the there's a chapter that we meet the elders um, in the sanctum
Hmm.
later on in the book. So he kind of comes from there. Not really one of the characters specifically, but it could be. It's one of those like I just kind of wanted it. I it's it ends up being I don't know. I don't want to downplay it,
No, it's
but
more
it
like
but
a
it
vibe. It's a vibe cover.
but it is. It's more of a vibe cover than anything that's actually happening, and that's only for this one. I'm actually like I've got plans for uh, my artist is Jose Grosledge. I found him on Fiverr Pro. Uh, Actually, like through the vetted pros and whatnot, and I came across him. I really enjoyed. He was already a published illustrator, like a cover
Hmm.
artist, um, and I really liked his work. He does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons artwork. People contact him for campaign artwork.
Hmm.
Constantly busy, and I talked to him, and I was like, "Hey, I've got an idea for a book. Let's something like this with this." And I gave him some ideas and pointers. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, he sent me back that cover. So we had, he sent me back that cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Um, and he kind of blended it in. If you end up looking at the back cover, there's really nothing back there other than maybe some over side residual of the storm. Um, I had him do up a couple more commissions. So he's the same artist for the first glimpse, my novella, and he actually drove to uh, the Shambles in York, there in the UK. Like he took a weekend with his girl and drove up there and did some sketches and was like, "Hey, here you go." And I was like, "I want some of that with a little bit of that, mash them together, and let's go with it." He's like, "Sweet." You know, he takes about each cover. He's done another cover too. He's actually done book three's cover already, but there's some minor editing that we're gonna have to do for it. But this one is the full front back. I mean, full front back. Like the whole
Yeah.
artwork is full, and it's amazing. But there's some text editing that I need done. He's still got the source file. He never sent me the source file, but anyway. Uh, yeah, the original book one's cover art is kind of more of this is the conceptual feel for the book. Uh, I wanted the front guy to kind of maybe be Kalen, but we're not sure if it's Kalen. Maybe it's Aemon, but Aemon ends up having a beard, so it's one of those. Uh, but it's a pretty epic scene, and we're going to see. Like I said, that concept was supposed to be for the whole of book one and two now
Hmm.
for the split, and it would have made more sense because a lot of the combat and everything is going to be in the second book.
Got it.
Um, our first book is kind of like the backstory and the entry quests leading into it. So um, it is a campaign. That there is a measure of story. You can't just have this badass out there slinging spells and swords, hacking away at liches and stuff in a D&D campaign at level 1. So we're going to let him level up a little bit. He's got to grow up. So does the rest of our party. Eventually, it's going to start with Kaylin and Lysandra. And then book 2, we're going to meet a couple others. Book 3, there's going to be a couple others. So I mean, by the end of the story, we're going to have a well-rounded party of like 6 or 7 uh, together. coming together to take down the big bad, which probably needs to have a party of 6 or 7.
Excellent. All right. Well, I want to give you a chance to read from it. I don't know if you want to take on your prologue or what you want to tackle for a sneak peek for your writing style, give people a feel for what they're getting into if they pick this up.
I don't know. Do we still got people in chat? What do y'all want to? Do y'all want to hear the prologue, or do you
Who's
want me
out
to
there?
go a little further in? I don't know who's still out there.
We'll see if anybody pops in there. It's been quiet for a little while.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I can start with the prologue. So, a fateful night. The sky was cracked. Storms spun in the sky like a living vortex of swirling darkness and unnatural lighting. The air crackled with raw energy. The very fabric of reality stretched thin. The valley was a hellscape made manifest on scorched earth. A cold wind tore across the ruined landscape. Ashes danced in the air like fallen snow. At the heart of this desolation stood 2 figures. A man robed in indigo woven with silver threads. His staff was planted into the earth like a beacon against the dark. His face was aged, framed by long silver hair and beard. His storm gray eyes sparkled, a reflection of the storm above. His name was Eamon the Wise, the last of the Eldritch sorcerers. If it could still be called a man, the other was wreathed in dark shadows, darker than the abyss itself. His skeletal form was adorned in tattered black robes. Faint, arcane sigils pulsed along his bones. His face was an abomination of rotted flesh and bone. Where his eyes should be were empty sockets that swirled with unnatural, deathly green. When he moved, the air itself recoiled from his presence. Jaradim, the eternal woe, defiler of worlds, the architect of despair. Good enough.
So, you can where can they hire you as an audiobook narrator? That's
I'm actually going to be doing the audiobook for this.
Excellent.
So, I tried to go out and I've got websites up, voices.com. You can't do that. They want you to pay like $500 a year to audition for crap. I don't know. It's a rough time for me to get some actual quietness to be able to do voiceover stuff like that. But maybe at some point.
Well, that was fantastic. I think if you narrate this into an audiobook, I would be happy to listen to that for sure.
Right. I really liked how my narrator for the first glimpse was. I think he really captured Aldwin, the shopkeeper. I hope I can get him for future books, but we'll see. My wife was telling me that if I do narrate it myself, I need to have proper voicing. I can do real deep voicing. I've got some voice mods that I can do some of the more spooky stuff, but I don't. There's a lot of females in my book, so I
was gonna say you got to get her to do it. I'm doing all the women in mine now.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the immersion if you had me reading a female voice. Can you imagine me reading a 13-year-old girl and making it feel immersive? No, it's not going to happen.
That is the tough part. But
my wife said it'd be interesting to watch me try.
Who's going to pay money for that? Let's see. Who wants to pay money?
But I've got all the software. I've got the setup, for it. Being a podcaster at one point in time was like half the journey just getting there for audio. The rest of it is letting your voice rest a little bit so that you can try. Uh, anyway, I don't know. I like reading my story.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I how old was that comment? Because did he miss
I
it?
know. I'm like, he just popped it up, so I'm like, did you? We just listened to that, but it'll be on replay. You can catch it later.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me go for. I'll read you another. Here's one of Zaradim. All right, with swift incantations, golden chains of pure energy lashed out, wrapping around Zaradim's arm, binding it in midair. The moment the chains touched him, they burned. A divine radiance seared against the lich's decayed flesh. For the first time, Zaradim snarled in pain. Fool! The sky shook with his fury. I am beyond your pitiful gods.
JR has clarified that he wanted to hear the female voice.
Oh, well, nah.
They want to hear you do the 13-year-old girl.
No, not going to do that.
Just got to save face.
Oh, no. I can't do that.
Yeah, there are some voices that I can imagine. Others can do not so good.
Yeah, my voice is too scratchy.
I don't know that I could do a 13-year-old girl. It'd be a challenge. I've tried. I have a line that was like it was a kid, and I had my 9-year-old son come in and read it for me. It's like, all right, really? You're gonna read this line and record it. See, there's only like a couple things.
I've got a 5-year-old grandson and a 2-year-old granddaughter. So like I can't have either of them try it out.
Yeah, not quite there yet, no.
And my their mother is like 28, 29. I don't know. She might be able to pull it off, but anyway, 13-year-old girl. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one.
All right.
I could probably reach out to some friends and have their daughters, come in and do some audio work. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still up in the air on the audiobook.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Let us know where people can find you, where they can buy the book, follow you, anything that you have out there that you want to plug or pitch would be the time.
So you can go to my website, kwbussard.com. From there, I have sample chapters. I have universal buy links, or book links. They're pretty much going to be books to the number 2 read.com/ and then whatever the book title is without spaces. You can find the first glimpse that way, the Eldritch Knight. I've even got the anthology linked on there. What the books to read.com site doesn't have is like the Walmart links. So you can find my book at Walmart online. So if you have gift cards from the holidays or whatever, you can actually go online and spend them that way. You want something to read. Definitely a lot better than what you find in the aisles at the store. It's probably about the same crap you see at Target. Rebecca Yarros and all that spicy erotica, wannabe romanticy, stuff.
My husband has a fun favorite activity of going in there, just picking up a random book, flipping to a random page, and 90% of the time it's a smut page.
Yeah. How much? Let's do the spicy lottery.
Oh, yep. There you go.
She blushed at his engorged bratwurst. Anyway, so yeah, most of my stuff, if you go to my website, and if you're on X, you can find that link in my bio. If you need to find me, I'm also a mod for the fellowship community page, or the community on fellowship. Um, and I'm the only KW Bussard on X. I mean, I'm not the only Kevin Bussard, but I'm the only. If you just start typing KW Bussard, I'm the only one you're gonna see. So there's that. I have the same, almost the same username on all the social medias. So, but all of that is also linked on my website. So as long as you can get to my website, you can find me. Even my email address. The chat bot on there actually comes straight to my phone. So it might take me a little bit to respond to it, but I do get the notification that somebody said something to the bot in there. If I can log in quick,
chat bot,
and if I can log in quick enough, I might be able to actually live respond to you. But sometimes I'm busy. Yeah.
Well, now you've enticed me to check out the website, because you're the first one that I've encountered that has like a chat bot, which is pretty cool.
Well, it was built in, GoDaddy is who I go through to host, and it's kind of like built in. Like, how do you want to navigate? Because there's a lot of other stuff on the GoDaddy website that you could actually incorporate for marketing and selling and stuff like that. I just don't have it, and I could turn the bot off, but I mean, it is a way for people to say, "Hey, when's your book coming out?" And if I can catch it fast enough, I might even be able to respond to you in real time. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. But I had that set up for my IT business that I used to use, and I just kind of carried it over onto the author page. But I mean, honestly, if you're gonna say anything into it, you might as well just scroll down a little bit more, fill out the contact me page, and have it send me a whole email, and then I can respond back to you, because that you'll actually see it. By the time I get to the chat, it's you're probably already off the page. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you, KW. Congratulations on getting this book out. I know you have the novella out. This is a real live novel, though. So everybody, check it out.
We've had, there was like, so far that I know of, I mean, without going back and looking at it right now, so far there was like almost 40 copies of hardcovers in the UK that some stores had bought. So they're somewhere, they're over there. In the UK, some British stores have some hardcovers of my book out there on display, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
If you can find them, send me pictures. If you see them, I want pictures, please, I'm begging you. And then I don't know about the pre-orders, so all the print and hardcover pre-orders, I can't see how many went through, but there was about 11 ebooks and some page reads just from today. So that's
awesome.
Yay, amazing.
Sounds like a successful launch.
I've enjoyed myself just watching the comments of everybody. Someone even said so much as that it's like reading a Stranger Things with a cosmic horror D&D campaign in there, and I was like, I mean, other than the Stranger Things, that's like on point. So of what I was kind of trying for. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream.
Thank you.
And I will see you guys later with another guest